So it's been a while since I've done a tag video, and I just saw the Moody Book Tag over at the Reading Wayfarers channel, and it looked interesting, so I thought I would give it a shot. I will leave a link in the description below to the Originator as well as the questions. I'm sorry if I'm looking down, I'm looking at the questions. So the first question is, do you consider yourself a mood reader? And I would say it depends on the month. There are several readathons that I always like participating in since being on BookTube and watching BookTube. And so for March, I participated in March of the Mammoths, March Mystery Madness, and Middle Grade March. And I always also participate in Nonfiction November and Victober and ShakeTube, all those kind of things. But the rest of the year, I predominantly read on what's due next at my library. I think I've mentioned in the past that I read a ton of library books digitally, like ebooks. And so it just depends on what's due next. And it's either, can I read it within that time span, or do I need to like borrow it again and have it come back around and then I'll read it then? So yeah, that's how I generally pick my books. Then question number 2 is, do you set TBR lists and do you stick to them? When I do set up a TBR, I will stick to them, I would say like 95% of the time. And when I do TBRs, I tend to pick around like 10 or 15 books, but I read on average, I would say 25 to 35 books a month. And so that gives me some freedom and wiggle room to pick up what I want to read throughout the month as I'm going along there. So question 3 is, do books affect you emotionally? Does the mood of a book rub off on you? As far as affecting me emotionally, I would say it's more like being able to empathize with the character. So if they're going through like a financial trouble or family fight or drama, something like that, then I can, feel sorry or, happy or whatever's going on in the story. But as I'm flipping through the pages, then, my mood is not going to stick with me unless the character is still going through some kind of, conflict there. But yeah, it's more like empathizing with the characters more than anything else. And then does the mood of a book rub off on you? And I would say generally no. I tend to read books that either have a happy ending or a hope for something positive that's going to happen in the future. But when I do read a book that does leave you, leaves the character in a bad position or really sad state, then it's more like it leaves me like contemplating, why that happened, or what was the author's choice in making that decision to leave it in that way. And so like I'll say like 5-10 minutes after, I'm like thinking through it, but it doesn't leave me depressed or anything like that. Number 4 is, when you're feeling sad, what do you read, or do you not read when you're sad? I read in all my various moods, and I do read when I'm sad, and but it isn't always like light fiction, like middle grades or mysteries, romances. It can just be what I'm interested in the moment. So it could be a history, it could be a psychology book, it could span all the genres. It just depends on what I'm interested in, more so than my mood. Let's see. Then number 5 is, most often do you use reading to escape, to learn, or to critically reflect? And I would say none of the above. It's more of like reading for fun, reading for entertainment. I do learn when I'm reading nonfiction and expanding my knowledge on whatever that is. And then to critically reflect, I do, try and reflect on, every book that I read. Throughout this whole year, I'm making it a point to, as I read a book, I'm like writing a little snippet in like a book journal that I'm keeping on, what the story was about and then what my impressions were. So I'm trying to, expand my critical, apparatus, my critical knowledge of a book. And really, like I said, critically reflect on them. But so yeah, I would say learning to critically reflect. Yes, I do read for those reasons, but mostly just for fun and entertainment. Number 6 is, what is a book that made you laugh out loud? And that would be like the most recent book is All Things Wise and Wonderful by James Herriot. And these are like a wonderful series of books about a vet in the UK, out in the country, and just I really like the dynamic between him and the vet that's like his advisor at first, and then they become partners, and just like the hijinks that they get up to dealing with these different farm animals, and also like the dogs and cats as well. But yeah, just the way this the way James like tells the story are just, I don't know, really funny, even though they can be sad or gross at the moment, or happy as well. Just his storytelling, it just has lots of humor behind it. And then let's see. Number 7 is, what is a book that has made you cry? I almost never ever cry in a book, and it wasn't until my cat died and then my dog died, or my cat, that I actually like teared up in a book. I've been reading, I don't know, since I was like 5 or something like that. And that would be Dewey's 9 Lives: The Legacy of the Small Town Library Cat Who Inspired Millions. And after my cat died, I wanted to read books about cats. And the same thing when my dog died as well. I wanted like memoirs, things like that. And so this, I read the first Dewey book, years and years ago, about a cat that is living and working in a way at a library in a small town. And so this is about people writing into the author on their pet stories of their cats and their unique and uplifting ways that they brought that brought happiness into each of the owners' lives. And so this really made me smile and made me sad after my cat died. I think I read like the same day or the next day, something like that. And so yeah, just me like getting over the loss of my cat, and smiling and crying through this book. It really helped me. But in general, yeah, I never cry. Only when I'm like very emotionally distraught, like with those 2 incidents, will I cry with a book. But if I had read like not a normal book, but I read something else that wasn't like cat or dog related in those incidents, then I don't think I would have cried. I probably would have put my book down and cried over just getting over the loss. Let's see. Number 8 is, what is a book that you didn't even know how you felt about? And I had a hard time picking a book for this, because I feel like most of the time I'm left with some kind of feeling, but a book I feel like more ambivalent about would be World of Wonders, and In Praise of Fireflies, Whale Sharks, and Other Astonishments by Amy Nezhukumatatil. And this book, I don't know, I liked the nature writing, but she also included a ton of how this one, like observing like a flower or something like that, made her reflect and think about something that happened in her past. So I felt like it was more a memoir on her past than it was about the nature. And so I would have much preferred it flip-flopped, where it was focused a lot on the nature with those hints or little snippets there of her background. And so yeah, this helped me so like I could take it or leave it kind of thing. Then I have number 9 is, are you more likely to read on a sunny day or a cloudy day? I don't care. I'll read on any. I prefer like sunny days, so like I have better lighting, but I'll happily read on a cloudy day as well. Let's see. Number 10, do you usually set the mood when you read? Music, lights, smells, etc.? No. Setting the mood, like for me, it wouldn't be any of that, but I would prefer it to be quiet, and so that I can just like focus on a book. But I read a ton in other settings as well, like before COVID, reading in. I didn't seek out coffee shops to read, but I could read in a coffee shop. I could read in a waiting room. I could read in the park. Noises, if it's like more of a consistent noise, I could just like a not white noise, but like a like coffee shops playing like steady background noise. It's I can completely tune that out and read. It's only like something jarring happens that, like a shout or a clap, something like that, like, you get startled. That's the only time that it would disrupt my reading. Let's see. Number 11 is, can you leap from book to book, or do you need buffer time between them? No, I don't need any time in between books. And I think I mentioned this like a year or so ago, that I can read a book and then, finish the book. And well, this year I've been trying to, like I mentioned, keep a book journal. So I've been like pausing, writing down my thoughts and moving on. And I set that goal for myself because I literally I finish it, not all the time, but most of the time. I'll read a book, get to, the last page, put it down. Okay, what's the next book? Pick it up. It was within a minute of finishing that last book. Pick up the next book and go on to that one. And so I did want that, I guess you'd say, buffer in between to just take a step back, think about what I just read, and then write down my thoughts on it. And so that's my little mini buffer in a way for those. And so those are all the questions for this tag. I'm not going to tag anyone. It didn't even give a prompt for that. But if you're interested in this tag, then feel free to do it yourself. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.